I'm Cheyenne. I'm the Executive Director of TXNORML, and we have a few of our other board members here tonight. We have Jack Spinkle behind the table. She's got her hand up. She's our Deputy Director. Bianca's behind the table with her, and she's helping us with volunteer coordination. Bianca, little hand up. Topher is our Social Outreach Coordinator here in the middle. And Lori is helping us with shipping memberships and merchandise. Who else is here? Jamie. Jamie is our legal counsel. I know everybody's going to be hitting everybody up. Jamie might get a few more questions than some, but feel free to reach out to any of our board members. We have Rick, our historian, that just came on board. And we have some people that are just kind of helping out. We haven't elected Preston to our board, but he helps us with graphics. Who else is here? Heidi is here somewhere. Heidi's going to help us with civic engagement so that we can go out and speak to different groups. And it looks like Lee, our secretary, just walked in back at the back of the door there. So anybody that, if you have questions, you want to know more about the organization, feel free to come up to the table and ask questions, or walk up to any one of us if you want to know more. So who we are, TXNORML. We're the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws. If it's your first meeting and somebody dragged you here, this is what they brought you to hear about. I've actually talked to somebody before that didn't know what they were here for, even though their friend brought them. So you can tell your friends before you bring them, but if you'd rather wait until you get here and we spring it on them, maybe let us know so we can give them the full spiel. And what we're trying to do is get marijuana legalized. We're trying to change the community outlook. And that does not end with us here tonight. That has to reach out to you guys. So what you hear here tonight, you need to take somewhere else. This is just, I like to tell people, this isn't the work. This is the planning. This is us organizing and motivating and getting our networking and community. But this doesn't actually change anything. We've got to tell somebody that doesn't already agree with us and educate them. So we hope to give you all the tools to do that tonight, and through our online site, through our newsletter. You stop by the table, you can sign up for our email newsletter, which is only once a month, but you'll also get our emails regarding legislative action alerts during legislative session. You can offer to volunteer with us and learn more and maybe help us get this done. We also take credit cards for our membership at the table, as well as donations. We take cash. We have memberships that you can become more involved and be invited to private events that we have. So please get more involved and stop by our table and talk to us and learn more. Because we're here to actually make some changes, which has to be on a statewide level. So as much as we love Austin, and it may seem very friendly, and you might not think there's much work to be done, to change drug laws in Texas, we have to convince the entire state. We have to change laws on a state level when it comes to drugs. So even marijuana, which is a plant, not what I would call a drug, we have to convince the whole state, and that includes those areas where we have no normal chapters, where we have actually very few residents even, very rural communities, and we have to reach out to them. So please help us do that. So I'm going to go over some news that's happened in the past month since we were here. And then we'll have a guest speaker tonight before I come back up and give you some events, and then we'll go on to the comedians and music. And mostly what I have to talk to you about tonight is good news. It's pretty much all good news when it comes to the news. But locally we had a pretty tragic story, and I'm going to start with that and just get it out of the way. And in part I want to start with it because I want to remind everybody that while we all want the freedom to do what we want with our bodies and put what we want inside them, and we think it's a freedom and a cause that we should all have for ourselves, that's not the only reason that we need to change the laws. We need to remember how these laws are detrimentally affecting families, affecting children. When people say, what about the children? I want you to tell them this story, and I will try to remain unemotional. But if you've heard, recently there was a child, a 2-year-old toddler, and this happened in Texas, who was removed from her parents' care because they were cannabis smokers. They were reported, I believe it was by family members, if I remember the story correctly. She was 2 years old and she lived in Round Rock, Texas. And the state took her away from her family and placed her in foster care. foster care that's overutilized and under-monitored, and people are in it just sometimes to make money off the state and are allowed to get away with a hell of a lot more than the parents actually are to keep the children in their care. And this child was once already removed from one foster home because the father kept seeing her show up to visitation since they took her in November with bruises and in unsanitary conditions, carrying a bag that was moldy or mildewed. So the father demanded she be removed from that person's care, and she was placed into care of a woman who then killed her. She sustained severe head injuries, and it could not have been an accident. It certainly could not have been a fall on the carpet. The stories didn't match up, and the foster mother has been arrested for murder. This happened in foster care because this child was taken from her parents, and the Department of Family and Protective Services determined through their own assessment and that of family members of the parents that these parents had limited parenting skills and that they needed to develop their understanding of being protective of their child. So we have the state determining that young parents who smoke marijuana need to consider protecting their children. Meanwhile, the state places them in the home of a foster parent that basically just wants to make money off the state and cares nothing for the child. And now that child is gone. So just remember, when we're having fun and we're talking about wanting what we want for ourselves, it's our legal right and should be our human right, that there are people in this country, in this state, and all over the world who are dying because of the use of this plant, in this situation and others. So please take this seriously. We all want to be able to have a good time with it, but let's make it legal so that no one is harmed by it, and then we can all have a good time. So now here's how we're going to do that. For one thing, we keep hearing about more and more studies that are proving the benefits of cannabis and proving that it has not as much of a detrimental effect that people believe, and in fact could maybe be an exit drug for other substances, including legal ones like prescription narcotics that are addictive. And a new study out of London shows it can reduce cigarette consumption. So obviously a legal commodity, but also admittedly harmful to your health and can kill you. Killed my father. So they did a study and they showed that people that were receiving CBDs, which is the non-psychoactive form of your cannabis, or component of your cannabis rather, were reduced by 40% in their desire to smoke cigarettes. So we're talking about saving people's lives by getting them off of addictive substances. And that study, the investigators concluded that this suggests that CBD is a potential treatment for nicotine addiction, and that warrants further exploration. And that was in the Journal of Addictive Behaviors. So if addictive behaviors scientists are now coming out to say that, you know what, maybe this not only is not as bad as cigarettes, but could actually get you away from them, that's a good study. Internationally, we're looking at Uruguay voting to legalize marijuana. So we have another South American country, thank you, setting a great example for us. And I think the important thing to note, this is still a huge debate there. They had hours of debate and still in the lower house only voted 50 to 46 in favor of the legalization of marijuana. And that bill now goes to the Senate and they believe it will pass. They've assured the president they have the votes. What I thought was really great about this story is that a majority of Uruguay is still thought to be against the legalization. And I think that's very much similar to what we see here. People think that their neighbors are against it, but really if they were willing to have the conversation, they might find out that they're not. But what's important is that the lawmakers there moved ahead with this vote after non-profit groups banded together in an educational campaign to explain the medicinal uses of marijuana and the economic benefits of cultivating the plant. So the lawmakers listened even though their constituents might not have. And that's why our education campaigns are so important. We can't just assume that these legislators, these lawmakers are against us. We can assume, if they're against us or not with us, that they may be uneducated. And then education does not require that you're mad at someone or that you're against someone. It just requires that you understand that they may seem to have a closed mind, but you don't, and you know that you have the facts on your side, and you just have to zero in on their concerns and answer them. And we could have the same thing happen here. So another thing that I've learned recently, I've never heard of this group, but apparently the National Lawyers Guild is sort of like the American Bar Association, but they branched off because that is a very conservative organization, not allowing minorities for a certain number of years. And so the National Lawyer Guild has called for ending marijuana prohibition. And they have stated that, thank you, Jamie, our lawyer. I asked him, is this a big deal? And he said, yes, this is a big deal, so I'm including that. This group was founded in 1937, so they've been around for a long time. They're very distinguished, made up of lawyers and others in the legal profession. And they stated that the criminalization of cannabis is an abject failure and should be ended as a federal policy. You don't have to be a consumer to be for this. They realized that the ending of prohibition of cannabis would offer multiple benefits, that it would significantly reduce infringements on civil liberties and lower the arrest and incarceration of people of color. We've seen a recent ACLU report that showed that black people are 4 times likely to be arrested across the nation than white people. So that would greatly change those statistics, and they realize that. So they want to see it reclassified from Schedule 1, which I think we all want to see. There's no reason that cannabis should be in the same category as heroin. And that is what we're seeing across the country. We keep seeing more and more states changing their laws, and eventually, sooner than you might think, Texas is going to be part of it. So in Maine, where we already have some legalization measures taking place, some success, they already have medical, they're also still seeking to decriminalize further. They're looking to eliminate penalties citywide in Portland, Maine. So they would be able, citizens of that city would be able to have 2.5 ounces of cannabis and cannabis paraphernalia in their possession. Again, that's just citywide. So I want to reinforce for you guys the size of Texas and the fact that Austin as a city cannot do this. So it's a great measure for Maine, but it's not something that we can do. We have to look at the entire state making a change. Additionally, in Maine, they've expanded their medical program to include PTSD and some other conditions like Parkinson's and Huntington's and Crohn's disease. And that is the second time they voted to expand their pool of patients. So remember, when we talk about our laws changing and you think that a measure doesn't do enough or it doesn't include enough, that it's not for enough members of the age of the population or the conditions, just remember that it's never the end. Laws against alcohol continue to change. I was born in a dry county that no longer is. These laws will continue to change. So just because PTSD wasn't included the first time around or maybe the second time around in Maine, now it is. So thanks to some of our veterans here. We've got more and more states that are moving to include PTSD. In Oregon, we already have a medical law, but the citizens are only allowed to grow their own at home or to have a designated cultivator, caregiver. Now they're voting they voted to approve dispensaries. So Oregon will become another state that has actual dispensaries in place, licensed by the state. And I'm sorry, the governor is expected to sign that, but it has not fully been signed yet. A measure that did actually finally have steps forward is having marijuana sales in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. Thank you. That measure passed in 1998 and has been blocked by Congress up until now. They finally made their first legal sales in our nation's capital. So that's a huge step. I mean, how can we continue saying the rest of the country can't do it, right? You would think. And pretty soon the rest of the country won't continue being illegal because now we have 20 states. And 2 of those came about just in the past couple weeks. So New Hampshire. New Hampshire became our 19th state to legalize cannabis. They have 20 qualifying conditions, including some of the typical ones you would expect: cancer, muscular dystrophy. And they will have 4 state licensed facilities that will be dispensing cannabis for those conditions. Patients will be able to legally possess up to 2 ounces. They did have PTSD originally in that bill. It was stripped, as well as cultivation at home. But again, when it comes here, it's the same thing as I would hope people are being told there. It's not the end. And our 20th state, which even my mother heard about, she tried to tell me about it. Illinois became our 20th state for medical. Illinois is going to have 40 qualifying conditions, 22 state licensed cultivation centers, and 60 state licensed dispensaries. So not all of these laws are being more and more restrictive. Some of them are actually pretty reasonable. Currently, California dispensaries, we have dispensaries there, but they're not licensed by the state. We do have state licensed dispensaries already up and running in Arizona, Colorado, New Jersey, Maine, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Vermont, and now Washington, D.C. And we have similar dispensaries are in the process of opening in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Nevada, and New Hampshire. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think these lists are getting too long to not include Texas. All right, so that's the news here and around the country and around the world. And now I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what we're going to do here in Texas. I know we don't have much going on. Our legislative session doesn't start again until 2015. But we actually have a lot of work to do between now and then. And one of the things that we're going to do is really step it up to be involved in the campaign to change the laws, where we are still obviously campaigning to talk to people, we're campaigning to involve people, but we need to get involved more at the Capitol. This past session we had our first real lobby day. We got a lot of you up there talking to your representatives, and we need more of that to happen. Texas is looking to be one of the next states in the next few years, so we need a lot more help. And we have a guest speaker here tonight to talk to you guys about that. He's new to Austin, so I hope you'll welcome him. He's from Washington, D.C., and he is the Executive Director of Marijuana Policy Project. His name is Rob Campia. If you guys aren't familiar with Marijuana Policy Project, they were formed 18 years ago in 1995. Rob has been the director since then, and he now lives in Austin and in Washington, D.C., kind of splitting his time, and he's going to be helping us and talking to us about how MPP was instrumental in changing laws in multiple states, including raising 95% of the funds raised in Colorado, to legalize there. So he, I think, has a lot of great ideas, a lot of things that we can get on board with, and we can use your help with. Rob has made national television appearances on just about any program that you can think of, news station or program, MSNBC, The Today Show, Geraldo Rivera, Montel Williams. So he is going to help us now, and I think we can really use that help. They've been extremely successful in other states, and he's going to talk to you about a campaign that we're going to help with and that you can help with, and I'll come back afterwards and we'll talk more about how. But let's hear from Rob Campia from Marijuana Policy Project.
Hello there. Good to see you. Hi. Rob. Thanks, Cheyenne, for that introduction. Yes, so we have some good news to report, which is that in my mostly what I do is fundraising and not media. And I was raising money recently from a California funder, and my idea was to get money for legalization in California from a California funder, and he said, no, I don't want to donate to California, I want to donate to Texas. he gave me a challenge, and I already talked to Cheyenne about this, so it's not going to be new to her, but it will be news to some of you, which is that he's going to give $100,000 to Texas if we can raise $100,000 from Texans. Can we do that? The goal is to legalize marijuana in Texas in the legislative session of 2017. That means building momentum up until 2015. We have a year and a quarter to do that. Then we have the 2015 legislative session, which will have probably 3 bills: medical marijuana, decriminalization, and legalization. We'll probably not pass any of those. If we do, that would be a bonus, but we'll build momentum. And then in 2017, we want to hit the sweet spot and try to make legalization pass in Texas. So I think what we should do as a community, not just in Austin, but across the entire state, is to focus our energies on raising money and in terms of building our grassroots firepower to build towards an actual victory in legislative session in 2017. Can we agree to that at least? Now this stuff always seems impossible at first. When we first got involved in other states, people said, well, the governor of Vermont, or the governor of Rhode Island, or the governor of Illinois, or the governor of Delaware, they're bad. Why would you even want to start working in this state or that state? And the answer is the governors are almost always bad when you start. You build a team, you have doctors, you have nurses, you have lawyers, you have clergy, patients, family members of patients. People start coming out of the woodwork. Next thing you know, you have someone from the state Supreme Court, or maybe someone who's a retired member of Congress. You build this team, and then the governor that you thought was bad is in fact no longer bad. Or maybe the governor who was bad is no longer in office because he was caught in some kind of scandal, and then you have a better governor later on down the line. So this kind of stuff might sound intimidating at first, but if you actually just build a team 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you can win. We can win. And that's what we need to do. So the plan is, and I'll just give you like a snapshot for just a minute as to what's happened recently in other states, and I'll bring it back to Texas. In Colorado, we were building that team for 7 years. People said, well, why would Colorado be the first state to legalize marijuana? That doesn't sound right. Why would Colorado be the first? Shouldn't it be California? Shouldn't it be Oregon? Colorado? No way. And we said, well, yes way, because we have a plan, and we built the team. Media coverage, clergy, doctors over the years. We built it. It was 7 years. So Colorado to the nation was a surprise. To us, it was really no surprise. We knew we were going to win a couple months before we won. Also, the 2 most recent victories that we've all heard about, that Cheyenne just talked about, was medical marijuana being legalized in New Hampshire and Illinois 1 week apart just recently. This was wonderful news for patients in those 2 states, but it's also wonderful news for people who are patients not in those 2 states, because that gives hope. Now, those 2 states took years of work. I did the math on this stuff, actually, when I was writing an opinion piece on this a couple days ago. New Hampshire, we started in 2006, and in Illinois, we started in 2004. This is like, what, 7 years and 9 years of work for these 2 states? So, if we're talking about a plan in Texas, which is not starting now, it started a few years ago, thanks to the work of some of the people in this room, and we're hoping to end this fight in Texas in the legislative session of 2017. This isn't like a 3-year plan. This is a decade-long plan, and I think it's time that we win this plan, and we now have the money to be able to make it happen. So what I want to say is, normally when people are on the stage, they're asking you to give money to them. I'm not doing that. I want you to give money to Texas NORML, which is Cheyenne and Jax and the whole team here. Some of you know who they are. I want you to donate money to Texas NORML, which is not my organization, because this is a team effort where I'm raising $100,000 from California. I'm also going to be raising money from some other people within the state. Texas NORML is raising some money from within the state. Hopefully we're going to get some money from other NORML chapters from around the state. This is a team effort. Can we get $100,000 from across the state of Texas? I think we can, right? So let's get that done. We'll have a good lobbying firm on the ground in the state capitol here in this city. We're going to make progress. We're not going to achieve all of our dreams right away, but we are going to achieve our dreams if we stick with the plan, and the plan is a long-term plan. So if you have a credit card or if you have a checkbook, I'm going to ask you not to donate to my organization, which is the Marijuana Policy Project. I'm going to ask you to donate to Texas NORML and see if we can actually build this team so we can have a lobbying firm in the state capitol, and let's get this done in the next few years.
Thank you, Rob. So what he was holding up is an envelope. It says Texas NORML Lobby Campaign on it. You all have them, or some people have them. We're distributing them, and you can get them at the table. We also take cash, by the way, Rob. I was going to yell that at you, but that is still good money here. So we take cash, too. We also have an option on the form inside the envelopes for a monthly subscription. That's a feature we haven't set up yet, so if you'll check that option that you want to do a monthly subscription where we can rely on a certain pledge from you between now and the end of this campaign, May 2015, then that would be an amount of money we can count on that's coming in, even if it's a small amount, $20, $5. Skip a movie, skip a drink once a month, and put your money where your mouth is and do something to change the laws that we want to get changed. I donate money every month to Planned Parenthood and KUTX. I only donate $10 a month to each of them, but every month they know they're getting $10 a month from me. That I'm signed up, I'm a subscriber, I'm a supporter, I believe in what they do, or I'm getting a service, like I listen to KUTX all the time. So either I believe what they're doing is good, or I use their service, and I hope that you guys feel that we're doing a service for you, and that you believe in what we're doing, and that you'll be willing to pledge whatever small amount you can part with per month between now and May of 2015. Some of our board members are doing it too. Just knowing that we have that amount coming in takes that much less off of us that we know we need to raise. So consider what you can part with on a monthly basis or a one-time donation, and please help us get this done. We have another handout at the table. Like I said, you can make your donations at the table. Please check out our merch. We have a lot of new shirts, a lot of new merchandise, some really great pins for vets and for patients that we just got in and we're showing tonight. And we also have a little small handout of our events that are coming up, or events that we kind of think you guys should know about. So I'll read them off here, but if you want to be able to look up the information online and have a little handout, we've got those for you at the table, so please take one. So it's not our event, but I want to let everybody know that on Sunday evening, CNN is having a special called Weed Dr. Sanjay Gupta Reports. Right? So that is, if you don't know, CNN's chief medical correspondent, who previously was not so much on our side, but took a little 1 year traveling and researching of cannabis uses in the industry, and he wants to share what he's learned, which is very positive for our movement. That's going to be this Sunday on CNN, and there are 3 showings actually, so 7 p.m., 10 p.m., and at 1 in the morning. So you can catch that, you can DVR it, share it with your friends, find it online, whatever. Use it as an educational tool. Next weekend, you guys heard of the Peaceful Streets Project? Anybody? I know some, yeah. So Peaceful Streets is they're the group that wants you to video the cops and witness everything they're doing and make the police be accountable for their actions. So we're taking summit that they're having at the AT&T Conference Center. Last year they had 250 people, so they've grown a lot since then, and I think we're going to get a lot of good exposure, so please make it if you can. It's a totally free event. A lot of good speakers there last year. I think there will be again this year. And we'll be there with all of our stuff, so you can bring your friends to get the shirt that you got tonight or show them what we're all about. And that is next Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., the 17th. We also started having last month for the first time a strategy meeting. So I'm trying to do those on the third Wednesday of every month so you guys can remember. First Wednesday here at Flamingo, third Wednesday we're going to do a strategy meeting at a restaurant. Last month we had it on Anderson Lane at a restaurant. This month we're going to do more south side, and we're just going to move it around. So this month on August 21st, it will be at Opals on South Congress in the Scotch room. So one day there will be in the Indica room. So that's on Congress, and we're basically, rather than the format of me telling everybody the news or us more, kind of just listening, it's more of an interactive meeting where we're talking about what we're planning to do. So we'll talk more about this campaign and about our strategy and how you can legalize in Texas. So if you want to get involved on another level, a little earlier in the night, we do that starting at 6 p.m. And it's more family friendly at a restaurant if you wanted to bring someone that maybe isn't as into the social aspect of cannabis. So we need to expose those people to an education as well. So I hope that's an opportunity for it. Later this month, August 23rd and 24th, our newest chapter, 350 miles away from any other chapter in Texas, is in Lubbock, Hub City NORML. So props to them for getting out there. And I am going to speak at that event. You can know anybody in the Lubbock area, please tell them to go. It's going to be a really good event, I think. We've got an attorney there that's speaking with the Innocence Project who won a case again and was able to use medical marijuana as a defense. It's like the only attorney that's been able to do that in Texas, I think. Jeff Stunt, I can't think of his last name. He's speaking, I'm speaking. It'll be a good celebration for their first event. August 23rd, 24th in Lubbock. For those of you that don't know, Texas NORML has an athletic group, Team Hope Through Cannabis, THC, if you get it. And we have some shirts for them, and they go out and we do like 5Ks or 10Ks or just walk around Town Lake all wearing our pot shirts, our THC shirts, and just kind of breaking that stoner stereotype that we're all at home on our couches, when actually maybe we're all walking around and doing stuff and just not wearing a pot shirt. So that they're getting together and going to the UT women's soccer game on Sunday, August 25th. So if you want more information about where they're going to meet up that morning for the soccer game, you can get that at the table. And we're doing a film screening August 27th of The American Drug War at the Alamo Draft House on Slaughter. However, this works so that you have to reserve and purchase your ticket ahead of time, or else the event doesn't happen if we don't sell 60 tickets or 66 tickets. So you bought your ticket, right? You're yelling. So the information on how to purchase your ticket is on our website, but it's also at our table. So if you'll purchase a ticket and bring some friends, we can actually have that event happen. And we'll do some Q&A afterwards, after the movie. So please tell everybody about that. And then next month, first Wednesday, we'll be back here at Flamingo Cantina again at 8 o'clock. So if you came for the first time tonight, please come back. Please bring a friend. And lastly, it's a month away, I'll remind you again, but DFW does have a NORML chapter also, and our Deputy Director Jack Spinkle and I will be at that meeting talking to them about this statewide strategy that we have and working together and just kind of helping them raise some attention to what we need to be doing. So if you have friends in DFW or that area, please make sure and tell them to go to that meeting and get in touch with their local chapter. We also have chapters in Houston, in San Antonio, and in Waco. So you can always tell people, go to NORML.org, look for what chapters are near them, or those are the Texas chapters, as well as some student chapters scattered throughout there. And we're trying to get more If you look on Facebook, you'll see there are several events that I've created where we're trying to push people to start a chapter in their area. In El Paso, in the Valley, in Abilene, in Corpus Christi. All these areas that we hear from people that claim they want a chapter, we're trying to reach out to. So if you know people in those areas, please put them in touch with us. We're going to break for a few minutes to talk to each other, to network, and when we come back at about 9:25, we'll have some comedians, and we'll following that have some music. I'll be back up, but please, like I said, go to the table, talk to some of our directors, sign up for donations, check out our new shirts, which are also available online now. I know some people have been asking. We've gotten the new shirts up online, so please come and check that out. And also, as far as the next meeting, Jamie Spencer, our legal counsel, will be talking more about this campaign, and he's going to be looking into some incentives to offer you for signing up for a monthly subscription type donation as far as a legal defense. So he's working those issues out, looking into what kind of options he can offer legally for a member that will be supportive of Texas NORML in this effort. So please stay tuned for that. And I think that's it. Oh, we had one other board member show up. Amy, who's behind the table now, is also helping us with merch and shipping. So say hi to her. And in a few minutes, we'll have the Outlaw Montgomery Wayne up to introduce some comedians. Please enjoy the meeting.
Right morning when my work is over, I'll fly away home. Lord, what bright morning when my work is over, I will fly away home. One bright morning when my work is over, I'll fly away home. We'll be right back. Stick around.